Lifeblood is found in 8 different locations all over Hallownest, in Godhome, and in 3 charms: Lifeblood Heart, Core, and Joni's Blessing. However, is Lifeblood useful, and is it actually worth getting? Well, today we find out. Starting with the charms, we have Lifeblood Heart, which can be bought from Salubra and Crossroads for 250 geo, which is pretty affordable even though Shaman Stone is cheaper and also the best charm in the game. This charm gives you 2 Lifeblood masks for 2 notches, which is pretty useless in my opinion, as 2 Lifeblood masks isn't exactly worth the 2 notches, and you can find 2 Lifeblood masks around the map anyway in a Cocoon, which of course doesn't require any notches. Other charms that focus on healing and health, like Quick Focus and Lifeblood, are a lot more value. I'd say this charm is a 3 out of 10 on the usefulness scale, and one of the worst charms in the whole of Hollow Knight. The second charm is Joni's Blessing, which is found in Howling Cliffs after parkouring through a surprisingly difficult spike course. Joni's Blessing turns all masks into Lifeblood ones, and increases your masks by 40%. This means at max health, which is 9 masks, you'll have a total of 13 masks. This charm prevents healing whatsoever, meaning you can focus on damage more as you'll have more soul for spells. In my opinion, it's not very useful, and probably a 5 out of 10 on the usefulness scale. This charm isn't just used for combat however, but also used in the Abyss to open a secret area, which requires 15 Lifeblood masks. In this area, you can get an Arcane Egg, which I guess is pretty good, but then you also get the next charm on our list, which is Lifeblood Core. This is the final Lifeblood charm, and this charm gives you 4 Lifeblood masks for 3 notches, which when you get all 9 masks, gives you the same amount of health as Joni's Blessing does when on 9 masks, which is 13 masks. But instead of all the masks being Lifeblood, you still have the 9 masks as normal, so it's actually just way better than Joni's Blessing. And a good charm overall, to be honest. Probably a 6 out of 10 charm. In total, Lifeblood in charms alone are a 5 out of 10 on average, so really not worth getting, and I highly suggest not using these charms very often or at all. Lifeblood Cocoons are the main source of Lifeblood, found in 8 different areas all over Hallownest. Some give more Lifeblood and some are in better locations, so let's see which ones are actually worth getting, and whether Cocoons are a useful source of Lifeblood. King's Pass is right at the start of the game, introducing you to the Lifeblood mechanic. I'd give this a solid 7 out of 10. It gives you 2 Lifeblood seeds, but more importantly, it actually shows you what Lifeblood does, which is essential for new players. However, of course, if Lifeblood isn't even useful, neither is this. So, let's check out the other Cocoons. Ancestral Mound is a 5 out of 10. This isn't exactly useful, as the only thing it's actually good for is the Elder Boulder, which I guess may help new players fighting this, but overall it's not good. It's also quite hidden, which doesn't help its score. It also, the same as King's Pass, only gives 2 life seeds. A lot of you probably didn't even know there was one in Green Path, and neither did I for a long time. That's because this Cocoon is hidden behind a breakable wall in a quite obscure area that you're probably not going to go to, which brings its score down to a 3 out of 10. Yes, it is useful for the Moss Knight I suppose, located right next to it. However, I still believe it is not as good, as the Moss Knight is pretty easy anyway, and even on your first playthrough you probably won't have much trouble with this guy, so the Lifeblood is not that useful. This one in Fog Canyon isn't as hid as the last one, but still definitely hidden. This one gives 3 life seeds surprisingly, so it's actually a bit more useful. Placement wise however is probably less beneficial, as it's not near any boss or even mini boss. The 2 things it may be useful for is possibly the charged Lumaflies right below it, in the whole corridor that's the most annoying thing ever, and also Overgrown Mound, which is decently close to it. Though Overgrown Mound is pretty easy as it is just squits, though the Lifeblood would probably help. A solid 6 out of 10, but it is late game so it's probably not as useful anyways. Finally, an actual decent place for Lifeblood, getting a whole 8 out of 10. The Cocoon in Waste is placed directly above the Mantis Lord's boss fight, and super beneficial and definitely worth getting on the first playthrough. It's actually quite overpowered for the Mantis Lord's fight, even with only 2 life seeds. That is, if you find it. I would give this a 9 out of 10, but it's actually going to 8 out of 10, simply because it's hidden so well that 90% of players aren't going to find this when they first fight the Mantis Lords, as you have to go past them and not challenge them, Mantis claw up this wall just to get it. Okay, why the actual heck is Lifeblood here, generally? Failed Tramway is the most useless Lifeblood in the game. Literally the only use is getting a bit more health for these guys, which is definitely not worth the Lifeblood at all because they're really not that hard. And the worst part is there's one right next to it as well, and when you look at the map you can see how close they actually are. This location in Deepness is right next to the last, and is directly above Galleon, a decently hard boss on your first playthrough. It's also very obvious to get and isn't hidden at all, it's right in plain sight. It's a solid 9 out of 10, and that's just me not giving it a 10 out of 10 because I don't want to, but it's definitely the most useful Lifeblood Cocoon there is. Added to all that, it gives 3 life seeds. This is the only one I actually found useful or helpful in any way on my first playthrough. This one is hidden, though pretty easy to find, as there's a butterfly right outside the secret entrance, signalling where it is. I'd say it's a whole 10 out of 10 usefulness, because of the stupid primal aspects outside that are all over Kingdom's Edge. Okay, seriously, it's probably like a 7 out of 10. It also gives 3 life seeds, so it's actually pretty solid. Overall, the Lifeblood Cocoons are on average a 6 out of 10 on the usefulness scale. Some being really useful and some literally not useful at all. So they're really not that good. Though if you stumble across a cocoon, getting it isn't much effort, so it's probably worth getting if you're nearby. Though definitely not worth going out of your way just to get. For the third section of this video, I'm going to talk about this is actually really useful in Pantheons, as at every hot spring you'll find a cocoon here. However, I've actually never used this or even unlocked these Lifeblood Cocoons in Godhome. At the bottom left of Godhome you'll find a locked door, with lots of notches around it. Whenever a Pantheon is beated with 1 or more bindings, the same number of notches light up with a blue glow. 4 bindings for 4 Pantheons means 16 notches. After beating Pantheons with 8 bindings, the door will open and you can enter. Upon entering, you can dreamnail the blue dreamcatcher that's attached to the ceiling. This will add Lifeblood Cocoons to Pantheon hot springs, making the Pantheons significantly easier. These give you 3 life seeds per cocoon. However, if you complete another 4 bindings, adding your total to 12, they give 4 life seeds. And if you've completed all bindings on the first 4 Pantheons, or just got 16 bindings completed, then each Pantheon cocoon gives you 5 life seeds. These are ridiculously OP in Pantheons. However, the bindings required to get them are really hard to do. Obviously you wouldn't do them all at the same time, but even individually they're still pretty tricky to do. I've never done them myself because I haven't been bothered. I might do at some point, so that means I'm not exactly sure if it's even worth getting. So let's ask some people who actually have unlocked the Lifeblood Cocoons in Pantheons. On my Discord server, we have the Pure Vessel or Stylish Raptor, and he says that it's worth getting all the bindings, meaning 5 life seeds of Lifeblood, rather than stopping at 3 or 4, especially if you're going for Pantheon 5 all bindings, as the 5 life seeds really makes a difference. Hex says that it's generally very worth going for and extremely useful, and 5 life seeds is worth the bindings required to get it. RIP Silk Song says that it's only worth for Pantheon of Hallownest, which makes sense. Overall, I'm going to give Godhome a solid 8 out of 10 for usefulness. This might be biased, as the people who told me this obviously would have ranked the ones before differently, so I don't know how accurate this is, but a lot of people seem to think that these Lifeblood Cocoons in Godhome are ridiculously useful, so an 8 out of 10 it is. This means Charms got a 5 out of 10, Cocoons got a 6 out of 10, and Godhome got an 8 out of 10. This means completely in total overall, Lifeblood is a 6 or 7 out of 10 for usefulness in Hollow Knight, and it seems that the later game you get, the more useful it actually becomes. I don't usually go for Lifeblood and don't exactly think it's worth it in my opinion, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a new video, I haven't really done these videos before, but if you did enjoy it, let me know, and you have something else you want me to do a kind of analysing video on, then let me know in the comments. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.